Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learning English with Podcast Conversation. I'm your host, Tony, and today we have a really special and, I think, very important topic to discuss. Something that might be quietly, almost secretly, holding many of us back from true happiness. I'm incredibly excited to dive into this with our amazing guest today, Jenny. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Tony, it's my absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this conversation. It's a topic that's very close to my heart, and I believe it's something many people can relate to, even if they don't realize it at first. So yes, I'm ready to explore the silent mistake holding you back from happiness with you and our wonderful listeners.
Fantastic! So let's just jump right in, Jenny. When we talk about the silent mistake, what exactly are we referring to? What is this big, yet often unseen obstacle that prevents us from experiencing more joy and contentment in our daily lives?
That's a great question to start with, Tony. For me, the silent mistake often comes down to two very common interconnected things. First, it's the constant comparison of ourselves to others. We look at someone else's life, their achievements, their possessions, and we think, if only I had that, then I would be happy. And second, it's the belief that happiness is something we will achieve in the future, when certain conditions are met. You know, I'll be happy when I get that promotion, or I'll be truly happy when I buy a bigger house, or when I find the perfect partner. We put our happiness on hold, waiting for something external to happen.
Wow, that's incredibly insightful. So it's like we're always chasing a moving target, isn't it? We never quite catch up because the target keeps changing, or we keep adding new conditions. And the silent part, I imagine, is because we don't always realize we're doing it. It's almost unconscious. We just think, I'm just planning for the future, or I'm just being realistic, when in fact we're silently postponing our own happiness. Am I getting that right?
Exactly, Tony. You've hit the nail on the head. It's silent because it's so ingrained in our thinking, often from a young age. We see it in movies, in advertisements, even sometimes in how our parents or friends talk about life. It's this idea that there's a destination for happiness. We are told, directly or indirectly, that if we work hard now, sacrifice now, then later, we will finally be happy. But later, sometimes never comes. Or when it does, we just find a new later. It's a cycle, a trap, really. And we often don't question it. It feels normal, which is why it's so insidious.
That's so true. I mean, I can totally relate to that. I remember when I was younger, I thought, once I finish university, I'll be happy. Then it was, once I get my first good job, I'll be happy. And then, once I save enough money to travel, I'll be happy. Each time, there was a brief moment of satisfaction, but then the goalpost, as you said, moved. It's a bit like running on a treadmill, isn't it? You're exerting a lot of energy, but you're not actually moving forward in terms of feeling that lasting contentment.
A perfect analogy, Tony. The treadmill of what ifs and when I haves, and the comparison aspect adds another layer of complexity, especially with social media these days. We scroll through Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, and we see people living what appears to be their best life. Beautiful vacations, perfect families, successful careers. And unconsciously, we start measuring our own lives against these curated, often unrealistic highlights. We forget that everyone has struggles. Everyone has their own daily challenges that aren't usually shared online. So we compare our messy, behind the scenes, with someone else's perfect highlight reel, and naturally, we feel like we're falling short. That feeling, that's a huge happiness killer.
Oh, the highlight reel. That's a fantastic way to put it. It creates this constant sense of not enough, not good enough, not successful enough, not happy enough. And it's so subtle. You don't consciously decide to compare. It just happens. You see a friend's new car or their promotion, and a little voice inside your head says, why not me? Or, I wish I had that. And before you know it, you're not celebrating their success. You're feeling less happy about your own life, which is a real shame because it robs you of your own joy.
Precisely. And it's not about being jealous, necessarily, though that can be part of it. It's more about a subconscious self-evaluation that almost always leaves us wanting. The silent mistake is rooted in this external focus. We give away our power to define our own happiness. We let external circumstances or other people's perceived successes dictate how we feel about ourselves and our lives. And that's a very disempowering place to be.
So how can we start to recognize this silent mistake in ourselves? It sounds like it's so deeply ingrained that it might be hard to even spot it. Are there any particular thoughts or feelings that are like red flags, telling us we're falling into this trap?
Absolutely, Tony. There are definitely some common indicators. One big one is that feeling of constant longing or dissatisfaction, even when things are objectively good in your life. If you find yourself frequently saying or thinking, "I'll be happy when," or "if only I had," that's a huge sign. Another one is a pervasive sense of restlessness. You achieve something, but the joy is very fleeting, and then you immediately start looking for the next big thing. Or perhaps you feel a pang of envy or inadequacy when you hear good news about a friend or colleague, instead of pure joy for them. These are all little whispers of the silent mistake at work.
That really resonates with me. I've definitely felt that restlessness before. It's like a hamster on a wheel. You just keep going, thinking the next turn will bring you to a different place, but it's just more of the same. So Jenny, can you share a personal story or a real-life example of when you or someone you know experienced this silent mistake and maybe how they started to overcome it?
Oh, absolutely, Tony. I have a very clear personal example. For many years, my definition of success, and therefore happiness, was tied to my career progression. I worked in a very competitive field, and I always believed that if I could just reach a certain managerial level, with a specific salary and a fancy title, then I would finally be happy and fulfilled. I pushed myself incredibly hard, often sacrificing sleep, hobbies, and even time with friends. I constantly looked at my colleagues who were promoted faster or earned more, and felt this internal pressure. It was exhausting. I was living for the future, for that someday, when I would have that perfect job, and then everything would fall into place. And even when I did achieve some of those goals, the happiness was brief. I'd celebrate for a day, maybe two, and then immediately start thinking about the next step, the next promotion, the next thing to acquire. It was a never-ending cycle of more.
Wow, that sounds incredibly draining. So what happened? How did you realize this was the silent mistake at play, and what did you do to break that cycle?
Well, it was a gradual process, but there was a significant turning point. I had achieved a big career milestone, something I'd worked years for. I got the title, the salary, everything. And I remember sitting at my desk, looking out the window, and thinking, is this it? Is this what I worked so hard for? There was no overwhelming joy, just a quiet emptiness. It was a really sobering moment. It made me realize that I had outsourced my happiness. I had told myself a story that external achievements would fill an internal void, but they didn't. That's when I started to consciously shift my focus. I began to practice gratitude for what I already had, my health, my friends, my small everyday joys. I started defining success not just by external markers, but by how I felt internally, by the quality of my relationships, and by finding purpose in smaller daily activities, not just grand achievements. It was a complete mindset overhaul.
That's a powerful story, Jenny. It really highlights how these external goals can be a mirage for happiness. My own experience was a bit different but similar in its core. I remember struggling with my English learning journey for a long time. I always compared myself to native speakers, or to other learners who seemed to pick up new words and grammar rules so much faster than me. I'd think, oh, I'll be truly confident and happy with my English once I can speak perfectly, without any mistakes, just like a native. This led to a lot of frustration. I'd hesitate to speak, always worried about making errors. I focused so much on that distant, perfect future that I wasn't enjoying the process of learning. And honestly, it held me back because I didn't practice enough because of that fear.
Oh, that's such a relatable example for our listeners, Tony. I'm sure many of them feel that way. The pressure to be perfect before you even start to enjoy the journey. So how did you manage to get past that feeling of comparison and the idea that perfection was the prerequisite for happiness in your language learning?
Well, it was a friend, actually. He told me, Tony, your English doesn't have to be perfect to be good enough. And it doesn't have to be perfect to be useful and enjoyable. He encouraged me to celebrate the small victories, understanding a new podcast episode, having a short conversation, learning a new idiom. He helped me see that the joy was in the asterisk progress, not just a destination. I started focusing on my own growth, rather than comparing it to others. And I also started to embrace making mistakes, as part of the learning process, not something to be ashamed of. That shift, that internal redefinition of what good enough meant, released so much pressure. And ironically, when I stopped chasing perfect happiness and started enjoying the present moment of learning, my English actually improved faster because I was more relaxed and confident to practice.
That's a beautiful lesson, Tony. It shows that by releasing the grip of that silent mistake, the comparison, and the future-focused, if-only mentality, you actually unlocked your potential. It brings us back to that core idea. Happiness isn't a destination, it's the way you travel. And it's found in the small moments, in the progress, in the acceptance of where you are right now. Both our stories, I think, really highlight that.
Absolutely. And it's not just about big career goals or learning a language. Think about even smaller things. Maybe someone says, I'll be happy when I lose 5 kilograms. Or, I'll be happy when my house is perfectly clean. These are small versions of the same mistake. We put conditions on our joy, and life is messy. It's rarely perfect. So if we wait for perfection, we'll be waiting a very long time.
That's so true, Tony. It's about recognizing that happiness isn't a prize at the end of a race. It's more like the fuel that helps you run the race. And you need to find ways to refuel yourself along the way, not just wait until the finish line. Waiting for the perfect moment is probably the biggest manifestation of this silent mistake. Because the perfect moment, it really is right now. It's all we have.
That's a powerful thought, Jenny. The perfect moment is right now. So for our listeners who are feeling inspired by our conversation today, what are some key takeaways? What are 3 actionable or motivational points that they can start to implement in their lives to overcome this silent mistake and find more happiness?
Okay, I have 3 key points that I think can really help. First, and this is probably the most crucial one, Tama's practice radical gratitude for what you have right now. Every day, take a few minutes to acknowledge the good things in your life, no matter how small. It could be the warm cup of tea you're drinking, the sunshine outside, a kind word from a friend, or simply the ability to listen to this podcast. When you consciously focus on what you do nor have, instead of what you lack or what others have, it shifts your perspective dramatically. It rewires your brain to look for positivity, which is a foundational step towards present happiness.
I love that. Radical gratitude. It sounds like it goes beyond just a quick thank you. It's a deep, intentional appreciation. I find that when I start my day by thinking about 3 things I'm grateful for, my whole outlook for the day is much brighter. It sets a positive tone, instead of immediately focusing on problems or things I need to achieve.
Exactly. It's like training a muscle. The more you practice gratitude, the stronger that happiness muscle becomes. My second key takeaway is define your own success and happiness, independently of others, expectations, or achievements. What truly brings you? Is it spending time in nature? Learning a new skill for fun? Helping others? It's easy to get caught up in society's benchmarks. The perfect job, the big house, the fancy car. But these might not align with your deepest desires. Take some time to reflect on what a truly fulfilling life looks like for you, personally, right now, not what it looks like for your neighbor or your favorite influencer. And then intentionally pursue those things.
That's such an empowering point, Jenny. I think so many of us, without realizing it, are living by someone else's script. We're trying to fit into a mold that isn't ours. And it's so freeing when you realize you have the power to write your own story of happiness. It takes courage, but it's so worth it. It's like, for me, running this podcast and connecting with listeners, even if it's not a traditional high-paying job, brings me immense joy, and that's my definition of success right now.
That's a perfect example, Tony. And it leads beautifully into my third and final point. Embrace imperfection and the journey, rather than waiting for a perfect outcome. Life isn't a smooth, straight line. There will be bumps, detours, and even U-turns. Instead of seeing mistakes or setbacks as failures, see them as learning opportunities. Instead of waiting for everything to be just right, to start enjoying life. Find joy in the process, in the effort, in the learning. Whether it's learning English, starting a new hobby, or even just making a new recipe, focus on the experience itself. The destination will come, but the real growth, and often the real happiness, are found in the journey itself, with all its imperfections.
Oh, that's such a crucial one, Jenny, embracing imperfection. It's a message that resonates so much with our English learners. who often feel that they have to be perfect before they can speak. But truly, that's the biggest barrier. Letting go of perfectionism, accepting that good enough is often truly wonderful, opens up so many doors. It allows you to take risks, to try new things, and to live more fully. These 3 points, radical gratitude, defining your own success, and embracing imperfection, are incredibly powerful tools against the silent mistake.
They really are, Tony. They're not always easy to implement, especially at first, because we're fighting against years of ingrained habits and societal pressures. But even small, consistent steps in these directions can make a profound difference. It's about choosing happiness every single day, in the present moment, rather than waiting for it to arrive someday in the distant future.
What a truly insightful and inspiring conversation, Jenny. I've learned so much, and I know our listeners will too. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your stories, and these actionable tips with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine, Tony. Thank you for creating such a wonderful platform for these important discussions. And to all our listeners, remember, your happiness is not a future event. It's a present choice. You have the power to choose it right now.
Beautifully said, Jenny. And to all of you listening, we hope this episode encourages you to identify and overcome the silent mistake holding you back from happiness. Start small. Start today. Let us know in the comments what resonated with you, or what silent mistake you've recognized in your own life. Your insights help us all grow. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Learning English with Podcast Conversation for more episodes, and share it with a friend who might need to hear this message. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep finding joy in every moment. Goodbye, everyone.